no Jedi.
Your powers are weak, old man.
Always remember, your focus determines your reality.
Hello there.
General Kenobi! You don't know the power of the dark side.
And welcome back to Disciples of the Force podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Silva, brought to you by what? Joined by my best pal in the world, Austin Hyatt. We've been here for about 15 minutes just chit-chatting. We should have been rolling. I could have given you an insight of our lives.
We don't see each other enough anymore, so we got to catch up before we get into business. So
if it sounds like, golly, if it sounds like we're just like drained, that's why.
Yeah, man.
And that's our business. Our last video, podcast, there was a couple comments. My boy JP brought out some good points. I don't have it in front of me. I was going to, but he agreed with a lot of what we said. And he was like, yeah, I kind of feel like the last season of Mandalorian, everything's kind of Mad Disney going in a weird direction with Ahsoka. Whereas the first two seasons of the Mandalorian were fire.
Yeah, peak. Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to put that out there.
Dude, thank you for listening, JP.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man. Speaking of your mission companions or friends.
Don't say Mitch.
Guess who I saw?
No,
Guess who I saw in Cedar City? Mitch. Dude, he is the guy. I was telling this to Grace. He is the one person I see. How do you say this? I see him in every place that I go. Wait, I don't want to make it sound like that.
I just see him everywhere.
I don't know. He's my most random sighting. I see him. Last time I saw him, we were in West Yellowstone.
Really?
I saw him on the street there and talked to him for a minute.
Crazy.
So it's Cedar City, West Yellowstone. I saw him in Salt Lake one time, and I'm like, this is weird. This is like weird. The third or fourth time, and I don't even think he lives in Cedar. So that was the weird part. I was like, how are we both down here for the same weekend at the same restaurant? Anyway,
that is super strange. Yeah, because it's one thing if you live close, but
right.
Those where you were, that's
just
crazy.
Running into the guy. Okay, sorry, but he is your best buddy. So go ahead.
Nope.
You like him more than JP. You were telling me that's what we were talking about right before the fun.
JP, no one could replace you, and you know that. Star Wars news for me. I finished Revenge of the Sith audiobook, of course. As you know, I don't read books.
Sure.
And loved it. That's a 5-star. I think that's my number one, followed by Dooku Jedi Lost is the second book out of all of the Star Wars I've read. Give that a listen. It's short. It's like 5 hours. If you can't handle it, put 1.5 speed. You can do it in 3.5. Seriously, really good. Just gives you the deleted scenes that we don't get to see, and really just paints a good picture of Anakin's fall. I don't know, it puts more stuff in there. Like, oh, geez, I got a whole thing. So maybe a podcast we can go over them.
I'd love to hear about it, and I want to read it now that you've read it, but I want to read them in order. I wonder. I was thinking a lot today because of the Acolyte episode about Anakin's conception through the Force. Mm-hmm. Does it talk about if Palpatine was directly responsible for Anakin's conception?
I'm trying to think. I don't remember anything being said about it. Unless there is a part he's talking to Anakin, and it might have been mentioned, but not explicitly said.
Okay.
But hey, the Force conjured you, kind of.
Right.
Thing. But nothing explicitly says I created you. But then again, I kind of zone out in audiobooks, so
yes.
Could have.
No, I get you there. The reason I ask, so I've always understood it that Anakin, and we'll get into it more when we talk about the new Acolyte episode, because our two main characters are to understand that they were created through the Force by Anasea or whatever her name is. Anyway, I was watching a video today that was talking about it and what it means for Anakin, because Anakin was the chosen one. There was no father. He was created through the Force. And what I've always understood is that he was the light side's response to the dark side presence of Darth Plagueis and Palpatine creating life in whatever way they were doing it,
Right.
I was watching a video today that was my theory is Palpatine was directly responsible for Anakin's conception.
Right.
And that was the life that he created. that was the life that Palpatine and Plagueis created through the Force. And he mentions a deleted line from the script of Revenge of the Sith where Palpatine tells Anakin, "I arranged for your conception." So I was like, is that in the book maybe?
I probably, because I think they said all deleted scenes were in there. So.
Oh, damn.
But,
Okay.
Well, but unless that was like taken away from the first draft.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Because if it's taken away, then probably not.
Okay.
I don't know. I just don't remember specifically hearing
Okay.
that. But there is a conversation they have.
Right.
So it could have been slipped in.
Okay, cool. I'll send you the video I was watching. You might have already seen it.
Perhaps. But is it Screen Crush? I didn't watch that one because I watched the Easter eggs and then I saw they were coming out with that video.
Okay, yeah. That video is good.
Okay. Because I do have some theories and junk with that as well. So,
okay.
But I don't know if there's any Star Wars news.
There is a little bit of Star Wars news real quick.
Get into it, huh?
Okay, so the Acolyte is the biggest Disney Plus launch of this year.
Okay.
Which is huge.
It's huge. Huge.
I don't know. It's hard to gauge like what streamers say about their viewership. Nobody ever knows if it's true because there's no way to check it. So
yeah,
that's interesting. I believe it because what else have they come out with this year other than like the Bad Batch? And we just know live action does a little bit better than animation.
People are going to watch live action over animation for sure. It also had a huge budget too. I don't know if we ever mentioned that.
Yeah, 180 million.
Yeah,
just insane.
Crazy.
News here: Anakin is to have a larger role in Ahsoka season 2.
Oh, that's right. I did see that.
I don't know how true that is. I don't even know if we've gotten Ahsoka season 2 confirmed. So that's pretty weird to hear that. But,
they just mentioned that before.
Yeah.
I think that makes me. Yeah, I would wonder. I mean, I know how they would do it, but do we need it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, hey, I got the chills from it when we first saw him.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I want to oversaturate what I felt, you know.
That's where I'm at. Like I would eat it up, but
yeah, I'd be happy because I love Hayden Christensen.
My mission president used to always say, you know, in the context of staying too long at members' homes, if you were there for over an hour, he'd say, that first piece of pie is wonderful and it leaves you wanting more, but if you eat the whole pie, it makes you feel sick and you regret it. So don't want the whole pie on Anakin.
I do remember you've mentioned that to me before.
I think about that probably every day.
It's a good analogy, really.
Thanks,
man. Can't overdo it.
Yeah, shout out Brent Lee, straight up.
Shouts out.
Okay, another thing here. This one is true, confirmed.
Okay.
The writers for Andor season 2 are confirmed.
Oh, yes.
So Tony Gilroy is doing episodes 1 through 3. Then Bo Willimon, 4 through 6. Episodes 7 through 9 will be Dan Gilroy. Episodes 10 through 12 will be Tom Bissell. So 4 different writers, and between each season there's a 1-year time jump. So we're like moving quickly through Cassian's story, which will be cool. Sorry, between each 3-episode arc there's a 1-year time jump.
Yeah, so that's what I thought you meant.
Yes.
So you're good.
So that'll be crazy.
That'll be fun. So do you think they're going to probably wrap up with season 2 then, call Andor good?
I believe that was because
if you're doing that big of a jump,
they're going to bring it right up to Rogue One. Yeah, I'm excited for it too. It'll be great because even if there's like weaker, if one of those 3-episode arcs is weaker, it doesn't matter because like we'll have the other ones to
That's
follow.
true. Plus, I think 2 seasons is good for Andor because we've talked about how we do not want it to get just dragged out.
Yeah.
And if you're, that'll be good to play us into Rogue One. I'm excited.
Yeah,
that's
it'll
awesome.
be great. So that's all the news I have.
It's great. Hey, that's some great news.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Well, let's jump into Destiny, the name of this week's episode. If you listened last week, you may have heard some hard jumps. We cut a lot. We talked about it, and there was just things that were not coming off the way we wanted them to.
Yeah.
And we try to give it to you raw, okay? We try to raw dog it here.
But yeah, it was bad. Like Spenny and I ended that, and we were like, should we even release this one? Like we just couldn't get a good footing for what we wanted to say. We were talking about stuff we shouldn't have been talking about probably. So I'm glad Spenny took that due diligence and figured that out for us. So
that's also probably why I didn't see any promotions on our social media because I said I'm going to put it out there, but I'm not really going to promote this. There's
soft launch.
It's nothing I really want. Yeah. But I felt like we had to because it was the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte. I was like, we got to give something. So thanks for listening last week. It was a hard listen. I'm sorry. So hopefully we give you something good this week. To start off, I just want to say with May and
Osha.
I almost said Shiloh. I don't know. I can't remember. May and Osha. The opening, one thing I really liked is how May is like hurting that little creature.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a sign of a serial killer. It's exactly what serial killers do. They like cut off, little squirrels, cats, and stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, I kind of like that in the foreshadow of like she's a bad person, she's a murderer. I'm like, I like this little element. I do like that.
Good stuff there. I just wanted to acknowledge something you said last week. I'm not sure if it made it into the podcast, actually.
It might have. I don't know.
But in the first episode or second episode, I think Soul says to Osha, "May killed your mothers and your family, whatever." And I got on Reddit and everybody was like, "Mothers? Wow, they have lesbian moms, whatever." And you were like, maybe it's a Witches of Dathomir thing where they just live in a coven and they're all mothers. Seems to be both, but more so what you were saying.
I like the both. It's fun.
Yeah, because they directly identify Anasea as their mother.
Right, that's their mom.
And then the rest are mothers in a sense. So I like that a lot.
Yes.
But then Anasea also has like a lovey-touchy with the Zabrak.
Coral.
Yes, Coral.
And it was with
Zabrak, sorry.
Coral carried the kids.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Not in like just like the whole idea of that. Like, why wouldn't I guess maybe the mother couldn't do it to herself.
Well, I mean that's a good point. Maybe
I mean, for sure, lovers. Than if you're giving it to some girl.
That's facts, bro.
Kids, come on.
That's facts.
They're lovers.
Maybe there was an advantage to her not carrying them.
Yeah,
I would think. My next thing here is I like how they talk about the Force as like a thread, similar to how the Witches of Dathomir talk about it. I think.
Yes, no, you're correct with that.
Okay, money.
That's confirmed.
And
I didn't know that. I watched it in another video. So
okay, hell yeah. I also watched that, but I don't remember anything from it. So some of it might be subconscious. What I'm saying here. But yeah, I just think like that's a cooler explanation than midichlorians, for me. But yeah,
I think George he tried something out with the midichlorians, and it was kind of just thrown there, not really a lot of explain. Like he explains it, but a thread being explained about the Force is a lot easier to comprehend.
Yeah.
So I do like that as well. I do want to take a quick pause here. Spice creams? What are your thoughts on that?
F that, dude. Straight up. So this is a thing I've always had with Star Wars. Spice is so inconsistent, the way they talk about it.
It's not like Dune. Dune's got it pretty much what spice is.
So spice in the Star Wars universe is like the worst thing ever because it's like a super addictive drug and it's mined by slaves. So if they're going to eat spice cream, what the hell does that entail? Like,
and I wonder if that's one of those that someone's like, oh, that'd be kind of fun. Like, yeah, and they don't really know the lore because, like, the Clone Wars we talk about. There's a whole arc about the spice trade.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I didn't even in my mind. I just thought spice cream, but you got a good point. That's fairly inconsistent.
There's a lot of things I really don't like with newer Star Wars stuff, and this is my biggest beef with Disney. I don't care that they're going woke. I care that they're like putting glasses on people, which is something George never intended. I hate that they drink calf or whatever it's called.
Oh yes, they've been drinking a lot of calf.
Yes. In Andor, when Bix talks about it, I'm like, F that, dude. They don't need coffee. Whatever. Screw that. And why call it calf?
Yeah.
Like, it's just too close to the real world. Whatever. I don't know. Sorry.
But it was a long time ago, dude.
That's facts, dude. That's facts.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, there's those little things in Star Wars, but
yeah.
I ain't though. But I do want to say this, and we've mentioned this many times. I don't like kid actors.
Oh, my dude. So brutal.
And it's like, I don't know. I don't think I ever will. And that's why I have to keep reminding myself, I'm like, they're just kids. You can't be harsh. But there's like things I'm like, But I don't know how else you would do it. Like, it makes sense that animation for kids, they use adults.
Yeah.
Because they can get a lot more expression, a lot more, dead on with what they're wanting. You can't do that in live action, unfortunately.
No, these two kids are really, that's another thing. You can tell these kids aren't identical twins.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely not. Maybe sisters?
I think they are twin. They might be twins, but they're not identical.
I see what you're saying. They're probably got it. But
like May and Osha, adult May and Osha are played by one person. Mm-hmm. Why not do that with the effing kid?
I thought the same thing. But in Hollywood, it's pretty. But well, I'll say this thing and then I'll go back with it. But it's pretty common to have two to get around the kids, like because they can only act for so long.
Oh yeah.
So that's why like Full House had the Olsen twins. Because they could only do it so long with one before they had to stop filming, so they had twins that can jump in and do the rest. Okay. However, that really doesn't play here because they're both on screen the whole time.
But if it's one kid doing twice the work, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Where they have to avoid it still. So I get what you're saying there.
Okay, yeah, it's a good point.
Because then she would have to play
back.
both parts. Yeah.
So I know that's, so maybe that's why.
Okay. That answers that, so thank you.
You're welcome.
I do want to speak really positively about this episode because there are a lot of things I liked. There will be a couple things that I say I don't like. One is the kid actors.
Yeah.
Super distracting, super horrible.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's just no way around that. Like, those kids are just bad.
Yeah, unfortunately. And the thing is that sucks is they probably were the best of the group.
Yeah.
Which is hard.
But that's the thing, too. It's like, how can you not find a better kid? Like, maybe they were looking for twins and that narrowed their search.
Right. And if you're looking for people of color as well, it probably narrows your
that's
search.
true.
So,
but I turned to Grace. Grace was on her phone in the same room, and I was like, that is not... Because we know what Amanda Stenberg looked like when she was a kid because she was an actress. And, like... She doesn't look super different from when she was a kid. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, there's no way either of these kids are growing up to be Amanda Stenberg. Yeah. Whatever.
Watch you be wrong. Watch them look just like her.
What? But yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the good. Sorry.
Okay.
That's enough of the bad.
Yes. The good. Dude, I love the exploration of... I'm a big consumer of witch media. Mm-hmm. Exhibit A right behind me.
Exhibit A right behind. Viewers, if you can't see, he's got the witch behind him.
Yeah.
Poster of the movie.
I love that kind of dark arts side of things, and especially in Star Wars, where we have the Witches of Dathomir. And it seems like this might be an offshoot. This might be related somehow to the Witches of Dathomir, or it might be totally separate. And I like either one.
Same.
And I really like the exploration. Like, this is just such a cool thing that we've never seen in Star Wars. And that sounds stupid after I just related it to different witches. But, like, this is exactly what we're looking for, is exploration of different sects and different beliefs within the Star Wars galaxy.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. So all of that stuff, I was like, I'm in on this.
Yep.
Now, some of the execution sucked for me.
Yeah.
I think Anasea, the actor who plays her, is pretty good.
I think she's really good, yeah.
Like, I think her and Soul have been the highlights of this series so far.
You nailed it. That's exactly what I thought.
I did not like the overall production of the rest of the Coven, especially during that. The power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
Damn,
dude,
that's good.
Thank you. This is this happened. Something similar happened in the new Planet of the Apes movie, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. At the end, spoilers for that movie. At the end, where they're like calling the eagles, and all of them are like doing this musical chant.
Yes.
I'm like, it just doesn't translate well. I get that you're trying to, like, art emulates life, and music is a big part of culture and a huge part of human life.
Yeah.
But it just does not translate well when a writer is trying to translate that onto the screen. So that really irked me. But
yeah, I do like what you're saying. I was thinking as I was watching it, because I have this problem where I put like hate in a group, like people who I'm like, oh, I bet you people are saying this. I always do that when I'm watching something. One of the first things I thought of, like, people who don't watch the Clone Wars are probably like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
But I'm like, if you are a Star Wars fan, you get it. You're like, yeah, this happens.
Yeah.
There's like, the Force isn't just the Jedi and the Sith. We know
exactly.
that. It's way bigger than that. And like you're saying, I love that we got to dive into it and explore it more, deep into it. And I do like the ritual. I think that ritual is awesome. Like, not the musical chant.
Yes.
I get what you're saying. I wasn't a fan, but I'm like, I like this idea of just something so kind of dark and like conjuring that thing. I don't know what it was, but to put the spiral on her head. I like that. That's fun. That's dark. That's never been seen in Star Wars, which is great.
Yeah, I really love that. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes to see if I. Thank you. I really love kind of the idea of all of that, and then seeing the Jedi come in and trying to stamp it out.
Yep.
And there's just so many parallels to our world of like people who are in the minority of a belief system and the people in power.
Yep.
Putting that down. So
and this credit I'm going to give to Screen Crush because I didn't think of it at all, but he talked about like the Crusaders. I'm like, that is excellent. Like, going and taking out these pagan groups who are worshiping not Christ, and they said, hey, none of that, stomped them out, In this episode, that is the Jedi. They're walking in, they're saying, hey, this is dark. You can't be doing this. It's only, kind of the Jedi. That's all it is, basically.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's so funny that, the Jedi got promoted to this thing of like keepers of peace and like this is the standard. But how did it get to that? Like, it's not the case. There's so many more people using the Force, which I was like, this is fun. I like this.
It's so cool seeing the Jedi painted in that light of like, because we've always been, and we've always known the pitfalls of the Jedi Order, but at the same time, they've been a symbol of hope, and especially we were led to believe in the High Republic that's like the height of there's like no corruption in the Jedi Order. They're just keepers of the peace and stuff like that. And so to see it like this turned on their head, to see it turned on its head of they are the bad guys, I think that's really cool. And I think that's, if this series can tap into that, we were talking about our disappointment of a revelation that there's 2 of them,
Yeah.
But if they can tap into, oh, we believe the Jedi are good right now, oh, we believe they're bad, and going back and forth, I think that's great.
Yes, I 100% agree. If that's where this is going, then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And they haven't really been full, but I'm like, okay, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
I'm seeing where you're coming from. I'm liking this. And to kind of go off of what you're saying, maybe not. Maybe I just lost my train of thought. Oh, well, this kind of goes back to earlier when you're talking about the witches. It's funny to me, like they have what kind of felt like 1800 vibes at some points. Like for one, like when they're getting their hair done, they're like in their dresses. It kind of looked like dresses from the 1800s. It reminded me, and like the handmaidens kind of helping them.
Right.
Which that plays into witches. Like that's the time period of when witches were big. So I was like, I like that kind of thrown in. But one thing I will say, I like I said, I don't want to. I'm trying to not throw hate because it's always easy to hate on something.
Yes. But
this is what I just thought was silly is they have the kids and they don't hide them very well. They just bring them with them when the Jedi show up. I'm like, if you know the Jedi are coming from, because she says the Jedi got through, they spliced, whatever. Yeah. When you take the kids somewhere else, not just right there with you in the room with the Jedi.
I was really surprised at their cooperation with the Jedi. Also, we got an answer. Oh no, sorry, we weren't talking about that.
Okay,
it was me and Jaren, I think.
Oh,
but we were like, why did they cast the Game of Thrones guy? No, this was on Warzone, I think. Why'd they cast the Game of Thrones guy to play that old guy who just ends up killing himself? We know why now, because he had to be the Padawan in this flashback, which makes sense. But
yeah, I agree.
But yeah, to that point that you just made, I was really surprised that they were so unwilling to cooperate, but then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, well, you can test them.
Yeah,
it's like, we are not part of the Republic and we don't fall under your laws. But yeah, like if you want to test them, go ahead and test them.
Now this could come to, light later on, but Ryan Erie made a good point that he's like, I think we're going to get kind of a Kurosawa film that did this where you saw the same story.
Rashomon.
That's the one. And 3 or 4 different ways of seeing it, right? Yeah. I'm like, absolutely, because we just saw Osha's way of seeing all that unfold.
Yeah.
We were with her the whole time. And I'm like, I'm wondering if we see it from May's perspective, maybe the Jedi use a Jedi mind trick to trick him into doing it. I don't think so, because it's on lesser life forms. So I don't
Yeah.
The way they seem like they're that in tune with the Force.
Yeah, they couldn't have.
But I don't know if there'll be something in that way that we'll see from a different perspective of why she was okay with letting it happen.
That's a good point. And I certainly like that they're like already opening that up, because we never see how all of the Coven is killed.
Yeah.
And
I like that a lot, though.
The narrative that's been built up is that May did it. She killed all of them. Mm-hmm. But when they're lying dead on the ground, they're not dead from that fire, the smoke.
No burns or nothing.
I think that's really interesting. I also got on Reddit and people were complaining about that. They were like, this show's so stupid. Like, they're all just dead somehow. I was like, how are you so stupid that, like, you don't see that it's going to be told?
Yeah, it's leading us right there.
Obviously, it was hidden for a reason. Oh, my gosh.
That's so funny.
I watched this be wrong, and then, like, the show just
if they don't explain it in a different way, then it is terrible, because then why weren't they burnt? But there's no way.
Yeah.
Clearly the Jedi killed them.
Yes.
And I think we're going to see that perspective as it goes on.
They used May as a scapegoat. Sorry,
right, exactly, 100%. I'm excited, and I think we're going to hear it from Soul's side.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited about. I love Soul.
He's awesome, dude.
I'm all in on him. Give me
He's
more
so
of him,
good, dude.
Give me his life. What was I gonna say here? I do like how we get to see the Jedi as kind of this bad point of view. We talked about.
Yes.
That. I really, really like that because this whole time in the Star Wars universe, we're getting it told through the lies of the Jedi. No, the eyes of the Jedi is how we're seeing all of it.
Yeah.
We're seeing Luke, come around, and it's all told from kind of that perspective. We don't see other people how they view the Jedi, and so with the whole different points of views of the same event that happened that we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what the Jedi did. Because clearly they don't feel justified in what they did because one of them killed himself because he felt so bad. And so I don't know. And one's hiding.
Yeah.
Wookiee, whatever their name is.
That I hope they reveal it in a cool way because there is this episode. People hated this. I saw the score. The community score was like 57 out of 100.
Wow.
And I was like, dude, this is obviously there are a lot of missteps in this episode, but it's setting up a lot of cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like the different dynamics between those 4 Jedi that show up to arrest them, and then their reactions that we see 15 or 16 years later. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of story to be told there. I just hope they execute it well.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if I forget the Matrix girl's name. Maybe
Indara.
Indara, that's right, Indara. I wonder if she, in my mind, I'm seeing someone thinks someone's attacking him, so they react. Turns out they weren't. And like, what are you doing? And it's like, well, it's too late now. We have to. We can't leave any survivors, or they're going to say what we did. Which is that's what I'm wondering if we're going, which will be fun.
Yeah.
Wouldn't hate
it. One more note I have here. I have 2 more.
Go for it.
And then I'm pretty much done.
Okay, girl.
The thick sabers. Have you noticed that? The hilts are so thick.
They're pretty big, yeah.
I saw something that was like, the sabers are so thick because they actually have lighting components in them. So when they're filming, they're using, but they're just like the ones we own, which are thinner than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So,
and in the sequel trilogy, the lightsabers were normal size, but they still had those. They actually were functioning, light emitting. So I just hate that production detail because I'm like, these lightsabers are gross. Yeah. And you really notice it when Sol hands it to Osha to show her. It's like. Yeah, anyway, it's like a loaf of bread.
Like a loaf of bread. Well, no, going back to that real quick, sorry. Why does she, we have to learn more, but I'm just still wondering why she does let them get tested. Like.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe she had a plan. Maybe she thought she had a plan.
Because, anyway.
We'll see. And, I don't think Anasai is, what's her name? Anasai, I think, is her name. I don't think she's dead, man.
You think she's still alive?
I think she survived that.
What if she's the Acolyte?
That's what they're saying. She's the guy with the mask.
Maybe she gets super messed up and voice gets all wrecked. Little Anakin going on.
Something like that.
That'd be fun.
We'll see.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah.
Now, my first thought is like they're ripping off Anakins Story. Right.
Yes, that's what a lot of the hate around this episode has been for.
But the first thing my mind came to was, okay, well, let's go back to George. It's poetry. It rhymes. So if you're going to see some ripples. And then I was like, now what if, and this is my crazy fan theory. I don't think it's real at all. I'm like, what if this is the first attempt that the Sith had of making the Chosen One? What if this is their first, okay, let's try to make life and make, the Chosen One that'll then bring balance by giving more darkness.
Yeah.
I was like, that'd be kind of fun.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the theories that's floating around is that somehow Palpatine returned. Just kidding. Somehow Palpatine and Plagueis are going to learn that power from Anasaya because she has already successfully created life through the Force. So maybe that's how they discover how to create their own version of that, which results in the birth of Anakin.
Yeah.
So
that'd be cool. And I do. One of the things I saw was that this is still building into Palpatine. Somehow he returns.
Exactly.
Which, that sucks if they have to go.
Yeah.
They're just, all these shows are just trying to put it in. Yeah. I don't know if that'll be the purpose of it.
No, I just think it's a shame that when we get new Star Wars stuff, people automatically write it off as derivative of the original story. And they're like, why can't they come up with new stuff? They're invalidating Anakin's story. And I'm like, this is not doing that. Because, Anakin has the same kind of origin as these two girls. Yeah. But look at how different they are. Anakin becomes the strongest Force wielder ever, and then one of the strongest Sith ever, and these girls are like completely nobodies. And
right.
you know they're never going to reach the level of Anakin. So it's like one failed attempt at creating a chosen one edifies the story of the chosen one because it shows what it took to get there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if you think it's taking away from the story, I think you're just misinterpreting it a little bit. I don't know.
No, I totally agree because I think it builds. It doesn't take away.
Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, one of them's a dropout, whereas Anakin, he kept through.
Exactly.
He was, because my first thought too is when the beginning of this series was like, oh, she got into the order when she was older than the rest of the Jedi. But I think, I don't know. I would like to believe it was a failed attempt at Anakin. Not Anakin, the chosen one.
That's what I'm saying.
Because maybe, and this is my one thought, maybe the split of it being a twin wasn't planned, and that's what ruined the whole thing.
That's
Light,
what I'm
dark.
thinking. Yeah.
I don't know. That's what they're saying on the comms.
Because also, I know Ryan Erie mentioned this, but Anasaya has like a little yin yang thing on her head.
Mm-hmm.
So like that shows the difference between the two, and it's manifest in her two children.
Exactly, and I really like that detail.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's definitely intentional.
Yeah.
Which I really like because I've never noticed until he pointed out that there are the two dots in the yin and yang on the spiral on their head. If you don't know what we're talking about.
Yes. Two more things, and then I think you want to show something.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay.
I do.
Going back to like Osha joining the order as she's older, the Jedi are like, yeah, we don't take children.
We don't take children.
I'm like, okay, you do,
It's been
And
done.
I know I think Ryan made this point. I watched half of the video, or didn't finish it, but I think he made this point of like, they don't technically take them. Like the parents do give them up to the Jedi. So like he wasn't telling a lie there from a certain point of view. He was telling the truth.
Yes.
But I just think that's funny. Like the hypocrisy of the Jedi, we're already seeing it,
Right, yes.
And then last thing I have here, they test her in the same way they test Anakin with the little pad that has the images on it. And then what else? Oh, the blood test.
Yes, the midi-chlorian,
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's poetry. It rhymes. I don't know. That's
I
what
love
I'm
it.
sticking to.
Yeah, it's a good homage to it. Yeah.
Because it really didn't make, like, I wasn't like, oh, are you kidding me?
I didn't think that at all.
Yeah, I never thought that. I was just kind of like, my question to myself was like, is this taking away from the story? And I don't think it really is. Because it's a total different story.
I mean, like, in that case especially, the Jedi, like any organization in the real world, just has consistent procedures.
Yes.
Like that doesn't take away from it at all. I don't think.
Exactly. That's how that's literally how they train the Jedi.
Yeah.
And that's literally how they figure out your midi-chlorian gun.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would that be different? One thing I do love about that real quick, the testing, I just love how smart Soul is. That like he knows something's up and he does correct. And I was like, at first my thought was, oh, he's just going to lie for her to get in? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then he's so smart that he knows she's going to be like, what? No, that's not right. I'm like, oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's a good. I like
Dude,
that a lot.
Soul's money, man.
Dude, he's
I really
great.
like him.
If they kill him, I'm killing myself. Real quick here. I was going to say, sorry. I know I'm not trying to say anything bad, but the one thing I do want to say that was like making me mad, and I get what they were doing, is when, what's her name? Anasaya? What's her name?
I think so. That's what I've been saying. Let's stick to it.
Yeah, we'll just stick to if it's not that, it's like super close.
Yeah.
When she's explaining the Force and the Osha and May are fighting in the background, I was getting so mad. And
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, I get it. That is how children act, 100%. But it's not really playing into the story. It's just showing that they're kids. Like that didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it's playing into how they're not taking it seriously. I don't know. I don't know what it would play into.
I don't know why that was included.
That's fine. Yeah. So let us know what you think, because I don't get it.
And like it adds to it because those kids are so bad at acting that like it's not.
It wasn't
organic
acting.
at all.
That was just.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, that's what makes me think they might not be. I mean, they are twins, or they're related at least, or they look very similar.
They
I
do
don't
look
know,
very similar.
but I'm like, nobody fights like that,
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. There's better ways to act. If that's really your sister, like your twin sister, you know how to fight. You know how to fight.
Or the director could have definitely invoked some actual
exactly,
anger between the two to get real method acting. I just didn't like that at all. That's one thing I was like, and I I think we're gonna have to see a lot of the kids going forward just to get the full story of what happened. Maybe not a lot, but we'll probably see 30%. I would say to see the whole story of what actually unfolded. Or maybe they just did enough to give us the background, and when they go back, they'll just do the point of view of the witches and the Jedi, which I would not be mad at.
I wouldn't be mad either.
Let's see here. One thing I did want to say, when May says, "I'll kill you," that's crazy from a child. Look, I mean, unless she's already into the dark side, I guess that makes sense. But I was like, because she does say, she alludes that May keeps running off, so maybe the Acolyte is out there and she's talking to him. I don't know.
I was really kind of lost by this point. I was like, when she said that, I was like, I don't understand those intentions at all. Like,
yeah, that better be talked about, because that won't make any sense as to why you're putting it in, unless it got cut and there was a thing. But
yeah,
I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, one thing I did want to say here. You saw me searching on my handy dandy iPad. Watch it be gone right when I get in. Oh no!
Is it?
No, it's right here. There's this part where right before May starts the alleged fire, Osha has the notebook for our viewers. This is what I'm talking about. You can't really see, but for you, can you see?
Yes.
So it's the notebook and it's got the light side and the dark side, and then it honestly looks like the Jedi symbol.
Yes, that's what I thought it was.
Now, the one thing I think of when I see it is it's very interesting to me that on the dark side is the Jedi. And I was like, I wonder if that was intentional of like that, because is that May's book? I don't remember whose book that is.
I don't remember either, yeah.
But maybe it's like to say like I view him in this way, like symbolism, of course.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm reading too deep into just a journal, but it's also a triangle. Sith love triangles.
Yes, yep. That's a good point.
So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting because it lingered on it for a long time. So I don't know if it's going to come back for something or if it was just a quick like, hey, light, dark. That's kind of where we are right now with May and Osha.
Right.
Jedi is on the dark side of it. So maybe that's their view of them, their interpretation. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay.
Like just something I liked. We already talked about a lot of this, which is great. I'm happy that we did. Yeah, I do. I will say this at the end. I do like where this episode is like kind of putting us on where we're heading. That May is, we know she lives and she's all alone. So I'm like, what happens?
Yeah.
And maybe you're right. Maybe the mother, she lives and she nurtures her and teaches her to be in the dark side. I don't know.
Yeah, we will see. Like you said, I'm pretty hopeful for it. I have been really disappointed, and we talked about it ad nauseum last week, but maybe it didn't make it out.
Yeah, it didn't seem like we were so negative.
Yeah.
So.
Some of the production stuff is just making my eyes roll. Like some of the acting choices, the dialogue choices, the look of everything, for lack of a better word. So I think what this show will ultimately be is, for me, it will be a story that I really like and something I just have to get over, like all the other, a lot like Ahsoka, where I ended up really liking the story, a lot of elements of the story, some things I didn't like, but then it just looks so bad, and some of the ways to get there are pretty bad. So I'm okay with where it's at, and I'm really hopeful for where it's going. So that's where I stand for our fans. Yep.
And what you said is exactly kind of, this is after the last week's episodes, kind of what you're saying. I'm like, I'm going to take this. I'm not going to get to the nitpicky of the production, the line delivery, because I'm like, to be fair, because you mentioned it, Star Wars has never been that, except for Andor. Andor did that great. Yeah,
Andor's just
that's just but that's just how Star Wars has been. Clunky dialogue.
Yep.
You know, and I'm like, I'm just not going to, things that I would in a traditional movie that I would look into and be like, this is crap. I'm going to push that aside and I'm going to look at the story.
Absolutely.
And if the story's crap in the end, then I will throw all those elements and bundle them together and say it's crap.
Yes.
But if the story's good, then maybe it's like, I can look over some of those things. But I agree with you 100%. Some of the dialogue and that kid, I don't know. The kid acting is hard for me. Yeah. It's very hard. That's my trial. That's my cross to bear in this life.
Yeah. It's rough.
It's rough for sure.
But good. I'm glad we're on the same page that way.
So, and the last thing you said that Cor was a Zabrak. If you guys don't know, that's what moth species is.
Yes.
I didn't even put that together when I was watching. I didn't get that till I was watching Screen Crush. I was like,
really?
Yeah, they do. I didn't even think about it.
That was my first indicator. When she came around and I was like, oh, she's a Zabrak. They are the Witches of Dathomir. They are a part of that because while the Witches of Dathomir are not Zabraks, to the best of my knowledge, Zabrak's home planet is Dathomir, I believe.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure about that.
No, I think that's right. I'm pretty sure they are. Maybe not home planet, but that's where they
okay, yes.
reside.
So the Zabraks live on Dathomir, but I'm wondering
if they have a different home planet.
Are the Witches of Dathomir related to the Zabraks somehow? I don't know. But anyway, I realized that first thing, and that was like a fake out for me because I was like, oh, they're Dathomirian, but then they weren't. But anyway, sorry.
And I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of at this point where I don't need Star Wars to tie everything in. So if it's just like they're adjacent,
I would prefer that.
I would like that a lot. Like maybe in a comic you say, oh, actually they are.
Yeah.
Because one of these witches lived and she moved to Dathomir, and that's when they started the cult.
Yeah.
But I think I kind of would like the idea of the cult living, and like there's just a bunch of different types, because we know there's different types of witches throughout the Star Wars universe.
Exactly.
That's what I want.
Like I just want the more the merrier, not interconnected or anything. Just like Star Wars is a great big galaxy, and there are billions of different groups and people out there. So like explore them all.
Exactly. Because I mean, even going back to Tales of the Empire, we see a different sect of the witches that Morgan Elsbeth goes with.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah. And so they were nothing like they're similar, but they were nothing like them.
Yeah.
They didn't really dabble too hard in the arts. So yeah, like you're saying, it's a big galaxy. There's no need to connect them.
Right.
So, and if you do, just do it in some comic that most people don't know.
Yeah, that'll be great.
But yeah, other than that, it's looking up. I'm excited. I want to know if the Jedi were just cold-blooded killers. I kind of want there to be no reason for them to have killed them, honestly.
That would be cool.
And I don't know how that would, and I want Soul to be gone during that, so it preserves his character.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because maybe, here's what I'm thinking. Indara seems to be like the hard ass in that that scenario. So she like influences her Padawan to go with him and like kill people, kill the innocent witches. And then I don't know where the Wookiee stands and all that.
Yeah.
But like if Indara leads that, makes it happen, and then Soul comes upon it, I think that would be great.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
So
yeah, they have some great potential right now.
Yes.
They can really get some motivation. If they kill it on this 4th episode, they might be able to get people back in.
Yeah.
But like you said, kind of if you're reading on Reddit, people have written it off, then I think people who write things off are not likely to come back.
That's a great point. Yeah.
If they're so vocal about hating things that, like you said, they easily can't see that clearly the story is going to tell us why they weren't burnt.
Yeah.
Then those guys maybe shouldn't have the internet. I said it.
Oh my gosh.
That's all I got.
Real quick, before we end.
Yeah.
Like you said, people not coming back. That's what happened with Ahsoka, where people didn't receive it very well. And you mentioned this last week, I think. But then Anakin pops up and it piques their interest, and they come into Ahsoka and they're interested in it. I saw a theory that Darth Plagueis the Wise and or Palpatine are going to be included or referenced somehow in this. I don't know where I feel or how I feel about that.
Interesting. I'm fine with Darth Plagueis because we don't ever know who he is.
Exactly.
I'm fine with
And this would be before Palpatine's time, of course, but not before Plagueis' time.
Yes.
Plagueis should be alive at this point. So, like, if that's tied into somehow how Plagueis learns to artificially create life, that could bring in a lot of fans where they're like start hearing or start seeing stuff about Plagueis and they're like, oh man, maybe I do need to get on this train.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So we'll see.
And honestly, I'd be okay with that because that fits. And then if they could take that and just do a little spin-off with Palpatine's origins. I know we say we don't want too much of Star Wars, but that's one I would not mind diving into.
Wouldn't be bad.
If they got the right people, right actors to do it, it'd be amazing. They somehow bring back, what's his name, Sheev? What is it? Ian McDiarmid. That's
Ian McDiarmid.
I was thinking of Sheev.
Sheev Palpatine.
Palpatine, his actual name. I'm an idiot. Yeah, but that's all I have. So we'll keep you updated on it. Well, real quick, 1 out of 5. What's this for you this episode?
Ooh, that's tough because the themes and what it sets up are like a 5. Seriously.
Honestly, yeah.
Everything else is like a 2. So let's put it in there. 3.5. I'm giving it.
This is why I love you. Literally my same thought.
Oh, wonderful.
The story was 5. elements of how it was like the dialogue, everything too. 3.5.
Okay, hell yeah, we're in agreement. Okay,
all right.
Well,
Thank you for being a disciple of the Force.